Hey Wargamers, it's your old pal Mr. Wargaming coming to you live. Well, I mean, it's not live, it's tape delayed, but we're coming to you from the menagerie. The aviary has a couple of extra birds in it today. We like to bird sit for friends of ours. It's been a long time since we've done one of these pay it forward posts. I like to dump these into whatever the YouTube equivalent of a repost is. So you see those pop up on your feed from time to time if you're following the channel. But if the algorithm threw this at you, sight unseen, you're not familiar with how we do what we do, then I like to pick a couple of smaller channels. Some of these are a little bigger. Some of these channels have a couple of thousand subs, so they're not like completely new to the scene. But these are 5 channels that I haven't really mentioned before. I haven't really talked a whole lot about that I think deserve a whole lot more viewers than they're currently getting. These are all high quality channels that are part of my subscription list and that I think you can get something out of. While I have your attention, I am working 3 campaigns, 1, 2, 3. Of course, the AD&D live campaign, we took a little bit of a hiatus. We'll be cycling back to that. I have one that I haven't even told you guys about. If you're following me over on x.com, then you know about it. And a lot of these guys are over on x.com as well. So make sure you go over there. That's where there's a lot of really high-level conversations going. I kind of take information that I gather in from those conversations and bring them to you from time to time. But if you really want to be part of the cutting edge, you're going to want to go follow guys like Folder Bloat. You're going to want to follow guys like, we're going to talk about Dragons Beyond later. He's over on X. Guys like, and there's a lot of guys that I just like, we talk about all these things and I'm not properly crediting them. So I'm literally standing on the shoulders of current day giants. Go follow guys like Alchemical Raker because they've got what's good for you over on x.com. But if you're not into the whole social media thing, you just like turning on a video from time to time, here's 5 channels that I think you should add to your feed if you really want to be up to date on some of the coolest thing that's going on here in our little corner of the hobby.
With all of that preamble or preamble out of the way, spoiler alert for the honorable mention, we turn our attention to Prestonpans. The Battle of Prestonpans was the signature victory in the Jacobite Rebellion. Those fighting for Bonnie Prince Charlie still, well, I mean, not the people that were fighting, but their descendants survive to this day, and they run a little operation called the Battle of Prestonpans Museum somewhere in the north of Great Britain, honoring the sacrifices of those who fell on both sides of the conflict. And the Battle Heritage Trust has helped them out, and they have run a couple now. They're halfway through the second running of that rebellion. In the first running of the campaign, the guys, the staff there at the museum and volunteers ran Force Red, and they turned to the Discord server. They turned to fans of the channel, turned to the fans of the museum and said, you guys are going to be the Council of War, and you're going to run the opposition force. Fought the campaign to a conclusion, and then they switched sides. Okay, now the museum guys are going to run the rebels, and you're going to have to run the king. It is a map-based campaign that generates tabletop battles, and the results of the tabletop battles get fed back into the campaign itself. They are doing things at a very high level. Aaron, the host, highly engaging. He does a great job combining the narrative aspects of the campaign with the tabletop aspects of the campaign. And it's not just events there in the north of the British Isles that come into play. They take into account the international situation. The French take a look at how well the Jacobites are doing and decide if they're in the ascendancy, let's send some troops up to the north. That can relieve some pressure down on the continent. The Dutch get involved as well. These guys incorporate naval, well, not so much naval battles, because some of them are more riverine, I guess you could say. But they do incorporate the fact that armies get put on boats, and they're able to kind of leapfrog mainland forces by moving a lot faster. Really intricate stuff, really interesting, very narrative, very engaging. It's simply amazing. And the fact they have only about 1,000 subscribers, a little embarrassing for our hobby. You guys need to go give them a follow. Next, we turn our attention to Dragons Beyond, a little channel with less than 200 subs. Again, a little embarrassing that he doesn't have a higher follower count. I'm a little surprised at the lack of curiosity that our hobby shows, or maybe it's just the algorithm, maybe it's not you guys. It doesn't have to be you guys. Here's your opportunity. Go look at Dragons Beyond RPG. This guy wrote, a few years back, he wrote a little OSR kind of reskin of one of the old games. Then he started taking things a little more seriously. This is the guy who actually ran Totten. For those of you that don't know, Totten is based on a game called, well, not a game, it's a military exercise called Strategos. Way back in the 1880s, this is the American response to the Kriegspiel. Totten is the grandfather of everything we do, particularly those of you in the RPG world. The Strategos was the rule set that the guys in the upper Midwest, the Twin Cities, this is the rule set that those guys were trying to game. They wrote a version of it called Strategos N for Napoleonics, Strategos A for Ancients. Those would help inspire chainmail. They were reading guys like Tony Bath, Donald Featherstone, putting it all into a blender, coming up with their own game. I mention that because Rodney Hampton, the host, has run Tot, and he's the only person I know that's done it. I think maybe Purple Druid has run a game or two, but I mean, just really detailed stuff. A lot of really solid research into pre-1960s wargaming over there. He has his own version of chainmail called Men in Metal. I hesitate to call it that, and because it's really its own beast. He also he took an interesting approach. Unlike the RPG guys who said, listen, I'm just going to file the serial numbers off and present the same game. I'm going to clean it up for an audience of dullards and make $1 million selling PDFs. He said, look, that's not what I want to do here. I want to take a look at the state of the art in the upper Midwest miniature wargaming scene, and I want to know what happens if we take the RPG hobby in a different direction. A slightly larger channel at about 1,200 subs is Crusty Colonel 18. He runs the Crusty Colonel channel, and I really enjoy his battle reps. His battle reports are detailed and intricate. He shows you every die roll. He talks about what each team is doing. He's another one of those solo guys, just points the camera down at the tabletop and lets the little men march around, do what they're going to do, rolls the dice, tries to interpret. He explains what strategy he's implementing for both sides. He explains what both sides are thinking through the course of the battle. He provides a little bit of rules analysis. Again, it all comes down to how charming the host is, and the Crusty Colonel is rather charming. He does show his face on screen from time to time, which, we could probably take a page from that, probably learn a thing or two from him there, to kind of help you establish that rapport. And this in no means am I recommending his channel because he does a lot of 2mm wargaming on those nice little rounded bases. They look really tight. He's played a couple of the 2x2 Napoleonics that we love so much. It really is. It's just a comfortable channel. It's just a cozy little experience when you turn on YouTube and you fire up the Crusty Colonel. He has a lot of really fun, clever names for the videos. But he does the kind of semi-imaginations where he says, look, it's a Napoleonic battle. It's going to take place at the Battle of, whoops, I fell in the, it's a creek called Whoops, I fell in the, but you get the idea. He's better at that than I am, I guess. Very strong in the history department. He does a lot of, he uses those same little boats that you see here on our channel, the 1 to 1,200 Napoleonic boats. I think he's actually played some of Fighting Sail. And again, I can't recommend it highly enough, man. If you want something on while you're painting your miniatures, the Crusty Colonel, always a go-to in the House of Wargaming. We don't just recommend upper Midwest accents or British accents through refined Brits. We also love the sound of our brothers down below the Mason-Dixon line. Or I think Mini WarMutt might be somewhere in that gray area, somewhere like Bloody Kansas. Anyway, he's got that wonderful, warm and engaging rural accent that we like so much. Now, I got to warn you, he's a big fan of what we call the normie slop. He's into the big budget, the kind of things that everybody likes, Marvel, Zombicide, those kind of games. From watching the channel, we're really not into that. If everybody likes it, then everybody's already talked about it and everybody's already detailed it. And we kind of, look, I'm making a video about how to make videos for people to watch wargaming videos. That's coming up in the near future. So we're not about chasing numbers here. We're about the little niche things. We're about finding the little unexplored corners of the hobby. And fortunately, Mini WarMutt does a little bit of the same. Probably the biggest channel we're recommending today. He's got over 2,000 subs, but that's too low. That's why we make these videos, right? He does some of the best hex and counter analysis. I put Mini WarMutt up with a Hex to Hex is the other guy that's great. They don't show you every single counter sliding around the map, and they don't just talk in vague generalities. Instead, they play out a turn, and then they turn on the camera, and they say, here's where our blue chips and our red chips are, and here's how they moved, and here's what red was thinking, and here's how the game works, and do I like the game? Do I not like the game? Does the battle flow really well? What are the challenges that red team is facing? What are the challenges blue team is facing? How did the dice fall in that turn? So it's a turn-by-turn analysis. And he breaks it up into small 10 to 15-minute bite-sized videos, so you can just kind of take it as they come. And that hurts his numbers, by the way. You know, the YouTube algorithm doesn't like it when you have a string of 15-minute videos. They'd rather just see it all dumped into one big one. But that would be a little bit much to watch. I have to break out my copy of Germantown and Burgoyne's Gambit. These are a couple of those. I don't even remember who makes it. I'm not much of a Hex Encounter guy. But after watching him play, I'm becoming more and more of one. It's really, it plants a seed in your mind. It really inspires you to break out those games that you haven't played in a while. Oh, that's how you do it. That was his experience. Let's see if I can do better than he did. Very inspiring. And again, he doesn't present things like a professor. He doesn't get too deep into the weeds. When you watch his videos, it looks like you're standing over his shoulder, and he's just kind of talking to you like a normal person. Some of these channels, and particularly a lot of the bigger channels, they take their cues from documentaries, and they speechify at you, and they use the YouTube sing-song that we all have grown to just kind of find obnoxious, and they all think that look, can you just be normal? I don't need you to make grand sweeping pronouncements like it's some big thing. You're not Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom here. We're pushing toy soldiers around a map, and I'm just looking for somebody to talk to me like I'm a normal person. These overproduced stuff, I find it a bit of a turnoff. It ruins the intimacy of this medium that we're dealing with right now. And Mini WarMutt really he hits the nail right on the head when it comes to, hey, we're just a couple of friends hanging out having a good time. Here's some stuff I noticed. Here's some stuff you might notice. Give him a look. He is absolutely worth a follow. We will close out our list of 5 with the only professional outfit on today's list, the Battle of Prestonpans Heritage Trust, charitable organization run by volunteers. They don't count. Peter Pig, trying to stack that cash. They've only got 700 subs, which, again, I'm a little surprised. These guys are venerable ancients here in the hobby. They have been producing 15mm figures long before it was cool. They have games that range from Spanish Civil War to Vietnam War to like pirates stuff. And, they have little short videos. They walk you through how to play their games for the most part. Again, British guys, hey, it's that kind of hobby, right? It takes a certain kind. And I think you should go give them a follow. Maybe pick up a couple other games. They're the guys responsible for AK-47 Republic, which is definitely on my bucket list. And I've learned a lot just from watching these guys. And if you're at all interested in game design and looking for some interesting mechanics, most of their games are like grid-based games where they're like hyper-detailed versions of chess where they use the brick pattern in a lot of cases. So it's really more of a hex map in terms of how the topography works. But it's really interesting stuff because it helps kind of codify, and you don't get lost in the little fiddly bits of, well, those guys move 7.5 inches, but they only move half, so now it's 3 3/4 of an inch. Does that mean that they can reach this guy who's almost but not quite? You don't have to worry about that. Like, how many squares are we moving? Which squares are we affecting? There's some really interesting mechanics in there, particularly in their Vietnam War game. Once again, highly recommend you follow these guys. And then I'm going to close out with kind of an honorable mention. Morty and Glory has thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. He has made a living doing this, and with good reason. He is one of the most engaging fellows out there. I'm not even a Warhammer guy. You guys know. Particularly Warhammer with the 40 and the K. Not my thing. He plays a lot of, again, it's the like normie, mostly popular stuff, but there's something about his tournament reports that I find utterly fascinating. He picks an army, he goes into all of the little nitty-gritty details. I don't have the attention span to be able to dig that deeply into a single game, let alone a single faction, and it's really interesting to hear about him, not just as he gives you a view from the trenches in the tournament scene in Great Britain, but also as he talks about, the changes in the meta for 40K and who's doing well, who's doing bad. It's a great way to keep up. Hour and a half long, so I rarely listen to them all in one shot, but when he talks about a tournament where he fought 5 battles in an hour and a half video, he's only spending about 15 to 20 minutes on each fight. You can just wait. It's like chapters of a novel, right? So you can just wait. I'm going to work out until the end of this fight, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll turn it back on when I mow the lawn. Or if you want a 20-minute session of painting miniatures, you just turn on and watch one of his battle reports. You got to kind of skip past some of his preamble sometimes because he is trying to sell you stuff. He is definitely an influencer. And, no shade, not holding anything against him, but that's not really content I have any interest in. I don't need to be influenced. Said the guy making a video where he's trying to influence you to follow some channels. But hey, what I'm trying to do here really is pay it forward. A lot of you guys out there have done a lot of good things for me. A lot of you guys have helped support my channel. And this is how we grow the aspects of the hobby that we want to see. You focus on the positive, and I've given you 5 plus an honorable mention, really positive channels that I think can make a difference in your gaming and in your life. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, but not necessarily for this channel. You just pick 1 or 2 of these. You won't regret it. Till next time, I'm praying for you.